and welcome to the Extra Point. My name is Loro Antonio, and I'll be hosting this show alone tonight as Isaiah Leung, Ben Kurse, Sammy Sharp, and John Alcorn are off tonight. All right, folks. So, anyways, let's start off with Thursday Night Football. What we're going to talk about here is that on Thursday Night Football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Philadelphia Eagles, and Tom Brady had a historic night. We'll pull up the stats in front of us right now as he passed over 6,008 passing yards with 51 touchdown passes. Beg your pardon, he's on pace for that. So he had 400-plus passing yards with 5-plus touchdown passes for the first time in his career. But what I meant to say was that Tom Brady is on pace for 6,008 passing yards with 51 passing touchdowns. So, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Philadelphia Eagles 28-22. And I thought that Tom Brady was the GOAT, and he continued to play out there. And that's why that's what I love about Brady, his competitiveness and the way he makes his teammates and people around him better. Now let's go on to our comment section here. Is Casey King saying good evening, bro. I'm like, Casey, good evening to you as well. Thank you for tuning in. And next we're going to talk about before we talk about the Sunday games, I want to give you my quick take on the John Gruden situation. And my thoughts is that what he did was wrong. He said something very offensive and harmful to DeMaurice Smith, and he said something racial, and he said something that went overboard with the anti-gay players and all that. So basically, John Gruden at this point doesn't deserve to be in the NFL right now. So now let's talk about the Dolphins and Jags game in London. I was watching that game, and Tua Tagovailoa had a really good first game back. I'll tell you that. But the Dolphins lost. They're still on a losing streak. But I'm telling you guys this, and people might tell me that the Dolphins are done. Don't count out the Dolphins later in the season. I think they're a team that's going to peak at the right time, and I think that they'll be a team that will make it to the playoffs in the end. But they have to play the Bills in a few weeks, so that is not going to be easy for the Patriots, and they'll go from there. So for the Jaguars, they were due to get this win. Trevor Lawrence was due to get his first career win as a starting quarterback, and Urban Meyer got his first career win as a head coach. And I thought that this game in particular was really, really good in ways like, I thought that the Dolphins would start out fast and then take control of this game. And for the Jaguars, what they did was they scored in the second half. They played well at the right time, and that's how they got this win. They won it on a game-winning field goal. Now, folks, let's talk about the Patriots and the Cowboys. So for the Patriots, I'll tell you what, this team continues to play well. I mean, they're starting to figure it out, but they just haven't won a home game. But for the Cowboys, credit Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott for throwing that game-winning touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb, and I thought that it was a great game for both teams, and I thought that the Patriots, however, they played great. Kendrick Bourne's long touchdown pass was really, really good, and I also thought that for the Cowboys here, I thought that Dak Prescott and them played well. Their defense was good, and I thought that the Patriots should have won this game. But you know what? Hey, the Patriots got the Jets next weekend at home. I expect the Patriots to go out there and get a win. And for the Dolphins, they have the Falcons. They should beat them, and I think that the Dolphins will get their season on track when they beat the Atlanta Falcons here. All right, folks. So Now let's talk about Sunday Night Football. It was a game that went down to the wire as the Steelers and the Seahawks went toe-to-toe. But when I only watched the game in overtime as Geno Smith fumbled the football and T.J. Watt recovered it, and then Chris Boswell kicked the game-winning field goal. So, anyways, we got somebody joining us. That is Alexander Everett that will be joining us right now. So we'll add him onto the screen. And how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. How about you, Loro?
Doing well, Isaiah. So why is your name Alexander Everett?
Because I don't want to get. I'm actually not supposed to be a part of the program tonight, but I don't want to get ratted out. So just call me Alex tonight, so we can keep it a secret.
Okay, Alex. We'll do. So we were just talking about Thursday Night Football, Patriots and Cowboys, and the Dolphins and Jags. So, what is your thoughts on the Thursday night game, Alexander?
Yeah, I thought it was a great game, to be honest with you. I thought that the Thursday night game, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers really, I thought they dominated like the first 3 quarters of the game, but then I thought they took their foot off the gas pedal when during like the latter parts of the game, and I really thought that that's when Philly started to climb back in later on in that ball game, and you could see it. The Buccaneers, they were up, I believe, at one point. I believe they were up like 21 or 28-7, and I thought it was going to be a blowout. Like after it was 28-7, I turned it off and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to watch this game. I'm going to go watch baseball or watch Lakers preseason. And I turned it on to Lakers preseason, and then the next thing I know, Philadelphia is mounting a comeback, and I turned it back on for like the last like couple minutes of that ball game. Philly scores a touchdown. They go for 2. They get it. It's like a 6-point game there. So it's 28-22. And, Tom Brady's got like 4 minutes left to try to ice the ball game. And, the Philadelphia defense just couldn't get a stop. And I think that, that it was that I thought Philadelphia should have taken a little bit more time off the clock, because if you give, like, forget giving Tom Brady 1 minute or 2 minutes, you already know that Tom Brady is going to drive down the field and score a touchdown. But if you give Tom Brady 4 minutes to ice the game, then that's basically a guaranteed win for the team that Tom Brady is on. So I thought that, it was a great game. I thought that it was actually going to be a blowout. And surprisingly, Philadelphia actually kept pace with the Buccaneers in this ball game, which I was really, really surprised about.
Yeah, when I watched it, I mean, when I saw the score, I was surprised that Philadelphia came back. So, anyways, what is your thoughts on the London game between the Dolphins and the Jags?
That game was great. I woke up early this morning to watch that football game, and I thought it was Trevor Lawrence's coming out party. I thought he looked really comfortable and really good in this football game. He was tremendous in the pocket. The Dolphins were bringing a lot of pressure, especially late in the ball game, and Trevor Lawrence did not flinch in that football game, especially late, engineering a quick, great drive down the field for the Jaguars to help them win that game. He was 25 of 41, 319 yards, 1 touchdown. He was tremendous. James Robinson, they found that balance between passing the ball and running the football. James Robinson with the run game, he had 73 yards and a touchdown on the ground. But I think more importantly, Loro, I think this game came down to couple really stupid 4th down calls by Brian Flores, because you have the ball, and I know, a lot of people are going to be like, go for it. Why not? Well, I'll tell you why not. You're at 4th and 1, I believe, at your own 46-yard line. I was dumbfounded that Miami went for it, because you're at your own 46-yard line. Jacksonville, I believe, has 3 timeouts left, and I believe there was a minute something left on the clock. And I get why Brian Flores is being aggressive because it's 1 yard. You can hand it to the running back and you can run through it. But there's some things there's some times where you're just over aggressive. And I thought that Brian Flores was a bit over aggressive in this game on a couple of those fourth down calls, including the one where the running back gets stuffed. Jaguars get the football in Miami territory with a chance to win the football game. 3 timeouts left. You basically handed the game to the Jaguars right there on a silver platter. And I know Trevor Lawrence had to make some outstanding plays late in the ball game to help the Jaguars win it, especially like that late throw on, I believe it was 4th and 5. They throw a quick out, or they throw a quick slant pass. They get a 9-yard gain. Quick slant takes 4 seconds off the clock, and I think me and everybody else were anticipating that they were going to go for a Hail Mary since they had only 5 seconds left. You got a timeout left, yes, but 5 seconds, you really can't do that much. You can't waste any precious time. They get the 9 yards, they get into field goal range, and then they make the field goal. So I thought that, yes, the Jaguars won this game. Trevor Lawrence looked really good out there. James Robinson looked outstanding. But I thought that this game was more about Brian Flores really blowing it in this game and just handing the Jaguars a win on a silver platter. And also, before I give you the floor, Loro, I got to say this. Everybody said after the whole incident featuring Urban Meyer and how there was that video that surfaced and how everybody was saying that it's inevitable Urban Meyer's going to get fired and stuff like that. I'm telling you, what I saw in that Jacksonville locker room and on the sidelines for the past 2 weeks, it's been the complete opposite. Everybody's saying he's lost the locker room. I think that incident galvanized the Jaguars to rally around Urban Meyer. You could see it. The players love him on the sidelines. They're jumping up and down on his back. Trevor Lawrence is giving him a big hug. Trevor Lawrence, when they were watching the field goal attempt by Matthew Wright, you could see that Trevor Lawrence had his arm over Urban Meyer's shoulders like they were buddies. And then in the locker room, they were huddled together. They were praying together. They were celebrating together. It was just great to watch. And I think that Urban Meyer, I honestly do not expect him to be going anywhere, at least for the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And then Casey King also said Dolphins versus Jags was a good one. It came down to the wire. And it sure was, Casey. And he's not a fan of these London games. I don't like teams losing a home game. Glad my Rams did not do a London game this year. So now let's talk about the Patriots and the Cowboys. And also, Ben would be joining us for this, but I'm going to say that what a football game that the Patriots played. Both teams played very hard, but Dak Prescott throwing it to CeeDee Lamb to win the game, to end the game in overtime, it was lucky for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it was definitely lucky. First of all, I got to say this. Mac Jones, even though they lost that game, I was highly critical of Mac Jones going into the NFL draft. My 49ers had the number 3 pick, and I said, you are not trading all those future first-round picks to get a quarterback that is basically the same as what you have in Jimmy Garoppolo. You're not doing that. Like, if you're going to trade your entire future, you're getting a guy that's a major upgrade than Jimmy Garoppolo, than a guy that's the same kind of quarterback than Jimmy G. So I was very critical of Mac Jones going into the NFL draft. And I said, hey, if the Niners draft Mac Jones, I don't even know what I would do. I probably would go to the Niners headquarters and protest or something like that. But I got to give Mac Jones credit. He's really looked comfortable and looked really good out there through the first 6 games for the New England Patriots. Yes, I know he struggled. He was up and down the first couple of games, but he's really settled down. And in this game, he made a lot of really nice throws, especially the one that he made, that 75-yard touchdown where he throws it over the middle. He challenges Trayvon Diggs, the guy that has an interception streak going. I believe he's got an interception at least in his first 6 games of the season. He challenges Trayvon Diggs, a guy that just picked him off for a pick 6 the play before. He goes back to challenging him, and he and his pass beats Diggs, goes to Kendrick Bourne, 75-yard pass right there, touchdown. And, that kid, man, he's special. Mac Jones, like I wrote on Twitter, he's got a bright, bright future ahead of him in New England. And, if I was Bill Belichick, in that situation when New England, I believe, had the football back after the punt from the Dallas Cowboys at their own, I believe, 20-yard line with about 20 seconds left. And New England, I think, had 2 timeouts left. If I was Bill Belichick, I would have taken the training wheels off of Mac Jones and said, kid, it's your show now. Show me that you can come up clutch and win me the football game. I thought Bill Belichick should have been more aggressive there instead of, running the football with Damian Harris and just going into overtime, because that great passing attack by the Dallas Cowboys, they were going to win this game in overtime if you weren't aggressive towards the in the final 20 seconds. So I don't know why Bill Belichick wasn't more aggressive there. I don't know if they didn't want Mac Jones to turn the football over or not, but I thought he looked really good. I thought he was slicing and dicing the Dallas defense all night long. But yeah, you're right, Loro. Mac Jones has a bright future, but on to the Cowboys. This Dallas Cowboys team, they got a tremendous offense. They can run the football. They can beat you with the passing game. And now their defense, which was their big weakness last year, their defense is showing up. They might not be the 49ers defense of 2019, where they're just shutting down everybody, but they are playing a kind of defense that Kansas City played, and a lot of these high-powered offense teams play, where they play bend, don't break. But when you play that type of defense, you have to get a lot of turnovers, and they're doing that right now. And I think that if Dallas can continue doing what they're doing, I would not be shocked if Dallas goes to the NFC Championship.
Absolutely. Then we want to welcome Ben to the show here. Ben, welcome. Even though that you got off to a late start here, I started the show alone before Alexander Everett came on, and all that. So Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Loro. How are you?
Doing well. You said you were going to try to make it. I didn't think you were going to make it tonight. I thought I was going to do the show alone, but here we go.
Yeah, I'll try to stay on for at least a little while here on the Eastern Coastline. Of course, it's past 1 a.m., so I'll do what I can to stay on, talk some football, and so decide, hey, I might as well join in because I missed last Sunday, especially too. So, and I see there's a bunch of comments already here, so let's get to it.
All right, so we were just talking about Patriots and Cowboys on here. You came in for the right time. I thought that Mac Jones played very well today, but at the same time, the Cowboys were the better team. I thought that game-winning touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb was lucky.
Yeah, this is just kind of another episode, or just another Patriot 2021 type of loss. It's against, they faced a lot of teams so far at home, and it's kind of in the same old dance right now, same story. The finishing, I knew coming into this game that would be a really tall task. With the defense, you lose Stephon Gilmore, defensive rating player of the year. He had a big game against Dallas a couple years ago in Foxborough. And you knew that Dak is just playing at an MVP type of level before this game, and he just absolutely tore it up today. He actually had the most passing yards against a Bill Belichick defensive coach type of team, which is really impressive. But this team has just so many holes, and you could obviously the offense. McDaniels has had some bad play calling and here and there, and it's really hard to kind of define this season so far. They've had a lot of great moments here and there. Of course, the Mac Jones storyline this season's been great. He's obviously hasn't been the problem, but it really comes down to a lot of coaching situations where they need to get better. But their late game defensive execution is just terrible. And like Justin Bossman, who just commented, the offensive line, they had to reshuffle guys left and right today. Trent Brown, of course, the right tackle who they got, former right tackle for the Pats, who they brought in, who they're kind of high on. He hasn't obviously been healthy, and So, and then you have Isaiah Wynn, who's been, kind of in and out. Really, I mean, I thought the running game was pretty good. I thought Damian Harris had a really good game today, actually. Ramondre Stevenson had a good game. So the running game actually, which has had some weakness here and there for the season, they actually had a very good day. Jake Bailey and the special teams, yes, the punt block here and there, but I thought they kind of struggled overall today. I know Nick Folk made his kicks, but it's not a Patriots team that, of course, that we remember for the last 20 years in terms of complimentary football and winning that way, getting the big time stops. Offensively, they had a couple early points. Hunter Henry continues to find the end zone. I think Jonnu Smith, of course, needs to really get involved more in this offense. It's now the 5th or 6th week, and I mean, you pay the guy tight end money, and he really has been a pretty much of a disappointment so far. Even in his run blocking, I think it's been kind of iffy here and there. I mean, I like Jonnu. I want him to do well. But, if he can start breaking out, that would be huge. That would be great. Aguilar, of course, he's had some plays here and there. He had a crucial drop actually in OT if it wasn't for that Myers first down. Myers has played really hard, which I love. I thought Barmore played really hard defensively. But Jalen Mills, I mean, he just got absolutely dusted in OT. I haven't been a huge fan of him this year. He's had his moments here and there, but this secondary just kind of had holes left and right. The offensive lines had holes left and right. So, yes, you can say, this obviously the Dallas was a better team today, Loro, but the Patriots really have shot themselves in the foot left and right in a lot of these losses. You look at the game against Miami, they had a chance to, get the ball back. I believe second or third down, and Miami got it, and they just ran the clock. And then the game against the Saints are up by a score, and then they had a statement. The Patriots are actually kind of trying to come back here and there, and then the Saints made a statement drive, just rode right down the field. Now it's that. The Buccaneers, of course, the Patriots game against the Buccaneers. Of course. Justin said Damian Harris fumbled. Of course, that was big. Obviously, the big moment there too. And then the Nick Folk PAT, the Nick Folk field goal against Tampa. I mean, you kick it. People are like, in the rain stuff. I can live with it, but of course, it was a tough one. And then you have this one. When you have the fourth down at the end. Actually, two things that happened really that really bugged me. So Dallas really. On their standards, their penalties killed them. If they lost their game against us, we could have been like, well, there's a reason why Dallas lost, and that was because of their penalties. And that was a big thing. I thought penalized wise, we were okay, not great, but Dallas was just crazy with their penalties. And, they had a fourth down. They still, I think, a timeout or two with about 30 seconds left. And that fourth down is Cedric Wilson. Wilson made a great catch, but you got to find a way to get Dak down there. They just left too much time with him in the pocket, and he's just too much of a quarterback to find the weapons left and right. And that was a big play, of course, leading up to the field goal and then an OT. You get the ball first. You didn't really do much to go down. Of course, the pick six by Trevon Diggs has been an absolute monster this year. Can't deny that. And then, the third down play on Aguilar, the face mask, I mean, the referee was kind of saying things left and right for different teams. So, I mean, you could argue, that was a big play in the game, which it was. But, Patriots had chances to win this game, and the Cowboys were able to find a way to pull it at the end. And we're here at 2-4. I'm not obviously here to make excuses, but the Patriots can just continue to push themselves. They just continue to shoot themselves in the wrong direction. But we'll see how it goes next week. I predicted this as a loss, but just they stain more and more, man.
Yes, absolutely. And then what was your thoughts on the Dolphins?
Sorry, what did you say?
What was your thoughts on Dolphins and Jags in London and the Buccaneers and the Eagles?
Yeah, so I actually didn't watch a lot of the morning game because I was working. I got some sports while I was on my break, but yeah, it looks like the Jags got their first win. Congrats to them. Under Urban Meyer, must feel good for them and their franchise. The Tampa Bay Eagles game, I did watch a lot of it. Obviously Thursday night. Got to obviously root for my guy Tommy, and yeah, I mean the Bucks. The Bucks obviously they had they obviously played hard, and I mean they didn't play their best game. They kind of shot themselves in the foot. You know, they made some kind of boneheaded plays in the second half that kind of let the Eagles back in it. But you know, Brady of course wanted it at the end, and you know, Leonard Fournette had a big game, so that was a big win for them, especially on a short break. So go Red Sox. Yeah, I do see your comment there. Yeah, it's been a crazy run, and you know, we needed that split against Houston, which we're able to do. Now let's see coming the next 3 at Fenway starting tomorrow. And yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and then Justin Bosman also said Ben Jets are going down next week. And Ben, love your Bruins Cup. Go Bruins, 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, the Boston sports this weekend was pretty good. You know, they as a whole overall. And actually, which is really funny here is that you know if the Red Sox somehow get to Game 6 or 7 next week, you know the Bruins will be playing next weekend. The Celtics will be playing meaningful basketball next weekend. So they had the Red Sox, the Celtics, the Bruins. I think the Revolution Soccer. I think like all the main Boston sports are gonna be playing all weekend, which next weekend, which would be crazy if that happened. You know, it's kind of just a sports dream of mine. I mean, I think I've seen it here and there, but that would be pretty wild if that happened. But yeah, you know, Bruins obviously got a big one yesterday, their first game. Yeah, I think I hope you know that we could beat the Astros. That'd be great. You know, obviously jokes aside here, but yeah, we'll see how the Pats respond there next week. Going back to our football talk, you know, they have the Jets. The Jets, of course, I think you know are worse than we are, and we're not very good to say the least. I mean, we obviously have to play our game hard, but you know, I think if we get this win, you know, then you go on the road for 2. You know, we'll see how it goes. You obviously at this point really low. You know, you got to just take game at a time.
Yeah, and Casey also said, Ben, I'm counting on your Red Sox too to beat the Astros.
I appreciate it, Casey. Thanks. We'll do what we can to you know, it's going to be tough. I gotta say that you know our pitching staff has been taxed. It's going to be winning by offense. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So Sunday night football.
But our next 3 in Boston are big. You know, we got to just take care of home field, and we've been playing well at home this playoff. So hopefully that's a good advantage to us.
All right, and then we'll talk about Sunday Night Football. What a game we saw here. I mean, Geno Smith fumbled the football, and then Chris Boswell kicked the extra point. I didn't see that whole game because I was focused on doing Dodgers. So what was your thoughts on the Sunday night game between the Steelers and the Seahawks?
Yeah, so I did get only a couple spurts of it, but I did get that ending. I did see the kind of that play where TK Metcalf fumbled the football about 10 seconds left in the fourth. I don't exactly know why he didn't just go right out of bounds. It looked like an interesting play. You know, he fumbled it. I thought maybe like, whoa, like, you know, he costed them up. And I think he was like even saying like there was instant replay, something. I was like, my bad or whatever. But like, if you're DK Metcalf, you're one of the best receivers in football. You know, you obviously got to think a little bit better in that situation. You're going to cost them. And then, of course, you know, the spike in the football, so 2 seconds left. I you know, my head was just kind of, you know, I was on my phone kind of looking, but, you know, it just seemed like it was very controversial at the time. It looked like the Seahawks might have ran, you know, the spike after. I don't. I mean, Mike Tomlin, like Justin, just responded saying, you know, he was really pissed. You know, I mean, I do feel like he might have had a grudge to it. I mean, but you know, they somehow, you know, responded to it. You know, stuff does happen. You know, they obviously overtime. Geno Smith made a costly mistake. T.J. Watt had a big sack on it, and Boswell obviously made the big kick. So Yeah, you know, the kind of the ending for both teams, it got really controversial. If the Steelers lost this game, it would probably been big in terms of that ending in the fourth, but they did win the game. So, I mean, of course, you know, they can move on. But yeah, the Seahawks, you know, you take away Russell Wilson and this team for at least, I think, 3 weeks he's going to be on IR. I'm not sure if he's going to be on longer. That would be huge if he can come back soon. I mean, I think he was before the game, he was even just out on his own, just running plays by himself. Just comes to show the warrior that Russ is in terms of his comeback, and I think he'll be coming back stronger than ever. But at the point of where the Seahawks are going to be after 3 weeks, who knows? Especially in a really good division. And then that was a big one for the Steelers. You know, they were 2-3. You know, they of course, regardless of if Russ is out there, the Seahawks are always a tough team, no matter what. And you know, they got a big one.
Yes, they do have a big one there, that's for sure. So, anyways, folks, now let's talk about Monday Night Football. The Bills are playing the Titans. So I picked Tennessee to go out there and get the victory here. What about you?
I'm going to go with the Bills. I think the Titans are a good team. I did see that A.J. Brown is on the injury report, so that also takes a big toll in terms of my thinking. But I really like how the Bills have been playing. Josh Allen just seems to look like he's playing great football. You know, obviously you go to Arrowhead last week and get that win. And, you know, they've been playing much better ever since kind of that week one blunder that they had. And they didn't even really play that bad. You know, just Pittsburgh just seemed to have a better game. It was week one, so you know, people just had, you know, their A game that one. But I do feel that the Bills are probably going to be able to go in. Josh Allen's going to be able to, you know, sling the ball around. I do want the Bills to lose, as Justin said, but you know, we obviously got to take care of our own business, you know, to say the least. I want the Titans to win, especially as a Mike Vrabel, you know, former Patriot. That would be nice. But I do starting to have a little more respect in terms of what the Bills are kind of running, especially after, you know, what we did for so long, for 20 years. You know, the Bills, of course, they're trying to get their team more relevant over time. And yeah, as a Pats fan, I hope it. I don't really want to see that happening, but I also think at the same time it's kind of cool in terms of a really young coach and Sean McDermott, a really good coach, and then Josh Allen kind of making that next leap of last year and to just what he's been able to do this year. And I think that Josh Allen has really kind of proven to people. I mean, he's not going to be at the level maybe yet of a Patrick. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is kind of struggling, but he's still a great quarterback. But he could get to that level of the top tiers, like a top 5 proven. Of course, he has to get, you know, a reign here or there. We'll have to see if that comes in the next couple of years here. But, you know, they got something really brewing there for their culture and their program. So I think the Bills are going to win, but I want them to lose. So, you know, that's kind of the way I'm thinking it.
All right, now let's talk about some Week 7 picks here. So Thursday Night Football. So the Denver Broncos are coming off a disappointing loss to the Las Vegas Raiders as the Raiders got a huge win, and to shake off the rust that was going on with the John Gruden drama, Rick Bisaccia did a good job in his first game. And if the Raiders win a lot of games down the stretch, you could really see Rick Bisaccia taking over as the full-time head coach for the Raiders. But for the Browns, Baker Mayfield got hurt again with the shoulder. He's expected to be fine. So I think the Cleveland Browns will come out on top.
Browns and Broncos. Okay. Yeah, that should be an interesting game. You know, like you asked me, Loro, a couple weeks ago about the Broncos. Do I see them as pretenders? Do I see them as contenders? And I said I'm probably going to go with them as pretenders because, you know, they have a good defense, but who did they really play the first couple weeks? They faced
bad teams. They faced a lot of losing teams.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't mind Teddy Bridgewater as a guy that can play for a couple weeks. I think he could really do great. But, you know, over the course of time against more of the in division, more of the greater teams, he's going to get a little more inconsistent, I think, of his play. And that's not taken away in terms of what he can do. I think he has a really good talent. He's a decent quarterback. I'm not taking anything away from that. But it seemed like Bridgewater was really struggling today. I think he had some struggles last week too. So he might be starting to kind of fall back into kind of the quarterback that we're kind of used to. We're kind of an in and out type of quarterback. He was just playing out of his mind the first couple of weeks, but maybe it was just against bad defenses. But he give credit where credit's due. I mean, he played great during that time. But the Raiders, they got a big one, especially with all like the drama and stuff, off the field, with that John Gruden situation. But that was a good one for them. Going to a really tough environment with big time fans there in Denver. That's usually no joke. And they got a good one. Derek Carr had a great game. Kenyon Drake had a touchdown. So I think that's a big one for Oakland, and at least for Denver. Obviously you have to go next week to the drawing board and see how you can respond in a short week against Cleveland coming up. And for the Browns themselves, they played a great team in Arizona. Arizona's undefeated for a reason. Kyler's playing out of his mind. I think personally for me, I think Kyler Murray is the MVP. If you ask me today, I think he's just playing that great of football. I don't think it's just for a couple weeks you can say, oh, Kyler's just playing out. Kyler Murray is just playing great football. That Browns defense, they got some studs there. Clowney, and I mean Clowney's not obviously a stud of this. I mean he's good, but he's not the same guy he used to be. Garrett's really good. They got some guys in their secondary, but still, I mean, going to a place in Cleveland, I mean that's no joke, and that's a big. The Cardinals are playing great football. Really sound football, and even Kings. They had some COVID problems during this week too, so they were able to just keep on going without any of those. COVID things kind of bothered them. Chandler Jones had COVID, Zach Allen, a couple other guys had COVID, and of course Kingsbury had COVID. And like Justin said, J.J. Watt, he's been great. He had that strip sack, I believe, or that the hit that Baker had to go into the medical tent with. So, yeah, I mean, I think Baker will be okay. We'll have to see it, in terms of how that affects his play in a short week. But I think those are big time wins for each teams today, and the Broncos Browns game should be interesting on Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. Who's your pick to win this game?
I'm going to go with the Browns. If Baker is healthy, I think the Browns are going to win. I think it'd be probably 24-13. I think it'd be a low-scoring game, but I think that, I don't know how much trust I have right now in that Broncos offense. They have some playmakers here and there, but I really think it comes down to Bridgewater playing consistent, especially on a short week. I don't really know how much I trust him on a short week specifically, but I think if Baker's healthy, they'll rock on points. And I think, only to score 13 points today, I know that Cardinals are great defense, but I think that they're going to come in pretty pissed. But they also have to face a great defense in Denver. So if Baker's kind of not 100% and – their offense kind of struggles. I know Kareem Hunt was out today too. He got hurt. Of course, they're already down with Nick Chubb not playing today. But if they start their running backs out, Odell's had his problems, but Odell really hasn't been able to stay healthy. But he's a crazy talent when he's out there playing great. Landry just came back, I think this week. So they've had some injuries on their offensive end, some really star players. Obviously they got to kind of get themselves back on track health-wise, but if all those guys, the majority of the guys stay healthy, they should be able to win this game. The only way I see the Broncos winning is their defense just comes to play and play out of their minds on a short week, which could happen, but we'll have to see.
Yes, absolutely. Now going back to our comment section, Justin Bosman said, Loro, Matt Nagy needs to go now. And he wants to know, did Urban Meyer save his job with his win? Oh, absolutely, he did. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show. That's a very good question there. And then is Joe Judge on the hot seat? I'm like, maybe so. I mean, I would feel bad for him if he got fired, but I just think that the Giants are not really playing good football right now.
Well, I mean, I could be here longer. I mean, I don't know how much time he got in terms of the Giants, but with myself living by the Giants kind of remote area, I can go on an absolute. I don't want to say. I mean, I don't really like the. I mean, I don't mind the Giants. I'm not going to go on like a big rant, but they have so many issues just off the field. I mean, their problems themselves. I mean, they played first of all, their offensive line still has a lot of struggles. They faced one of the best defensive, if not one of the best defensive fronts in the Rams and one of the best secondaries. But you put those two together, and Daniel Jones basically had to play, turnover-free football. Daniel Jones has played decent football, but he's a proven turnover waiting to happen week by week, potentially. But against a team like that, you knew that some turnovers are going to happen. But he turned the ball over like crazy. But that Rams offense has just been insane. The Giants had the first points of the game was 3-0. And then when I got home from work, I think it was like 21 or 28-3 at halftime. And it actually reminded me, the Rams played the Giants a couple of years ago, and the Rams basically did something very similar. Just getting points early and just blowing them out, blowing that. I mean, so you could say, yeah, well, it's Joe Judge, him on the hot seat, but it's not only the coaching situation with Gettleman, of course, the front office, but he obviously, Giant fans have wanted him gone for a while. But it's really against the better teams. Yeah, they can probably compete against, a team like Washington or, Dallas. They kind of, obviously they had their injury situation last week, but against teams that are kind of mediocre here and there to not great, they can probably stay within. But against an elite team, what I consider the Rams elite, but they're very, very good, like a very good to an elite type of level. And they just didn't really stand a chance. If you turn the ball over multiple times against a team like that, you're not winning the game. So
absolutely, you're not. So now let's talk about Patriots. We'll talk more about that on Loro and Friends on Tuesday, but that show might have to be moved because I'm going to be doing I have a double LA Sports double 2-sport double that I'm doing on Colorcast. So we're going to have to move. It's going to be most likely that Loro and Friends will be moving to a different day this week. It'll probably be on Friday. So, Ben, I'll talk to you about that after the show or sometime tomorrow.
Sure. We can, obviously I was going to say the Red Sox have game 1. I'm going to say game 1. Game 3 through 5, Monday through Wednesday. And then the Celtics actually start their regular season on Wednesday night. This week, this is obviously kind of one of the more fun weeks of not only October, but just I think personally, as a sportsman myself, I think October is the best month, just in general sports. You got MLB playoffs, you got NHL opening up, you got NBA opening up, you have college football still in swing. Especially with the pandemic last year, you're able to basically have. You basically have mostly everything, but now you're kind of. I'm not saying you're all back to normal, but obviously you have a lot of the fans kind of back. For most of the sports, and obviously it's great to see, great to really see that for sure, and kind of have your new type of normalcy, I guess you can say. But yeah, of course we could talk about the lower friends this week. Yeah, I should be, one of these nights coming up, I should be able to do it with you, so we can obviously talk either off air or after the show's done and discuss when we could do it.
Yeah, I'll probably do it off air. So Let's talk about the Patriots and the Jets. So the Patriots are definitely due for a home win, and the Jets are coming off a loss in London. But I feel like that the Jets could definitely make it interesting here because the last time the Patriots played the Jets was in the Meadowlands, and the Patriots blew them out in the Meadowlands. So I'm going to say that the Patriots win this game, but it's probably going to be by a lot just because of how bad the Jets are and how rookie quarterbacks underperform in their first start at Gillette Stadium. But Zach Wilson, he's gotten better and better since week 4.
Yeah, every week as a Pats fan myself, I'm 1, ready to get hurt, and 2, just no matter who it is, I'm just prepared for anything to really happen. I was telling my dad before this game today, against the Cowboys, this Pats team, of course, it's not the 20, for 20 years kind of, how much is Brady gonna, tack on for this game against the so-and-so? No, it's more about in terms of what team will show up. We just, I think that's kind of fun in a way. That's kind of nerve-wracking, but I think it's kind of just reality too in the same way. So the Jets are always a really tough team. They're always going to give their best give their best effort. They of course remember that, they only put 6 points against us in week 2, and I think that they will probably put at least in the mid-teens probably in this game. I think the Patriots, though, could probably score in the mid-20s, and I really think that the Patriots should be able to win. I think it'll be like a 27-17. The biggest thing about the Jets compared to like a team like Dallas is just the weapons. I mean, yes, the Jets have guys like Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Elijah Moore. They have some young guys, some young rookie guys. I mean, Corey Davis is a good receiver, not taking anything away, but you go from a receiving core of CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, backfield, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, that's up there in terms of like the Bucs, in terms of their core. So, I think the pass defense secondary just has to play itself. Zach Allen, of course, first time in Gillette.
Are you talking about Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson, my bad. I like our odds in this game. I think, they'll obviously they'll remember, one win, for Mac, first Gillette win. I'm begging, they have to win at home. That's the biggest thing. Gillette, just for so long as a Pats fan, I'm just so used to teams coming in, and of course them being, tonight actually, despite the loss, this of course kind of felt like a Patriot type of game. Just the atmosphere just was juiced up. Of course, myself, I was there. Obviously been going nuts, but yeah, if we get this one next week, yes, you could say suggestion in there, but we talked about the Texans last game, and look what happened. We almost lost in that one. We had a very ugly one in that one last time. It's been the season so far of the ugly wins and the moral sweet losses. So of course we need to find a common ground to say, okay, that's a good win. Like that's basically an all phase 3 type of win, and we haven't gotten that yet. So let's see if that can happen on Sunday.
Yeah, let's see. I think that could definitely happen. So Justin said, what did you guys think of the Tony Romo commentary? I'm like, I thought he was good. It's always fun to hear Tony Romo call any Patriots game. He said that. Justin said, I thought Tony Romo sucked, and I just liked listening to him talking. And Tony Romo kept mentioning Brady today during the game, and Romo is annoying during the game. And then he also thinks that the Patriots will get their first win at home next Sunday. Now, let's talk about the Chiefs and the Titans. As much as I love Mike Vrabel, I think that the Chiefs are going to get another win here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This Chiefs team is giving me like it's weird right now because they're definitely going to turn on at some point. This team is just too talented, but their defense is very, very bend or break. It's what Isaiah said early on in the season. Yes, they faced a quarterback, Taylor Heineke, who's been okay, mediocre at best. I could say, he's had, of course, his legendary type of games here and there, as you can kind of say it. But yeah, they're obviously not the same. They're going to have, of course, a kind of a regression, especially after their Super Bowl win, a couple of years ago. I think teams are kind of starting to figure out. Mahomes has thrown 2 interceptions. He's thrown 5 interceptions in like the last 3 games. And, but, when it came to the second half today, I saw a lot of the game, and, Mahomes looked at the Mahomes that I do know, just slinging it around, finding guys here and there. They've had some injuries here and there on their, Hill and Kelsey have had some of their nickups, but they should be able to, kind of overcome that kind of with the way that their team is kind of structured. But yeah, they've had some problems, but I do think they're going to beat Tennessee. I'm not sure where their game is.
It's in Tennessee.
Okay, yeah, I think the last time that the Chiefs played at Tennessee, Mahomes had a big one. He had one of the jump passes that was kind of highlighted for a while. That was actually a really good game. I do recall that game where it kind of went both ways, and I think the Titans actually, if I can recall, won that game at the end. But Mahomes had a big touchdown to Hardman. It was a pass, I think, in like the third quarter or something. But yeah, I think the Chiefs will win this game, but it would be really close. It's going to be a really close game. I think that the Chiefs so far haven't yet kind of found that groove of, they're going to just pull away from teams. No, they've with their defense being bend or break, they've been able, a lot of teams are able to kind of keep within reach against them. So that's another thing too.
And now let's talk about the Panthers and Giants. Not a lot to talk about in this game. I'm going to go with Sam Darnold and the Panthers to win this.
I did too. I mean, the Panthers, I don't know if they finished. I mean, I did watch a little bit at the end for the past game kind of turned on, but I think the Panthers are kind of like the Broncos in the NFC. They kind of really, I mean, their defense, I think, is decent. They're kind of like the Broncos. They have a decent defense, but, I did want to know in terms of when Sam Darnold is kind of starts to slip a bit. He had that week last week against the Eagles where he kind of struggled. Let's see. Oh, today they lost 2. Yeah, 34-28. So now they are 3-3. They were 3-0, I believe, to start the year. So they've had 3 straight losses. So, of course, the Panthers, they've had their slide. The Broncos have kind of had their slide after. So you could really say that, a lot of those teams kind of early on, it's only 6 games, but some of those teams are like, oh, okay, they're look out for, maybe they're kind of take a step notch back and kind of evaluate them more during the season because I think they're going to be kind of an up and down roller coaster. And I think that's the Panthers team right now, but I do think they're going to win. I just think the Giants team is an absolute mess. They've had some injuries, some big time players, and I think Daniel Jones will maybe have a hard time against that front. But that being able to hold on to the football and the offense line being able to hold upright with their injuries and just their team in general just had a lot of messes. So yeah, Panthers probably give me a really good close game.
And then the Packers are playing the Washington football team. So Aaron Rodgers and the Packers beat the Chicago Bears in a big way today. So I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers with a win.
Yeah, I mean, you remember, the first game of the Packers, right? They got absolutely just bullied by the Saints, and everybody was making big, Rodgers, with all the trades drama and everything like that in the off season and stuff like that. And I'm basically saying, probably I look after like the 6th or 7th week, we'll talk and laugh about that. I mean, the Packers have just been rolling, and they're now 5-1, and Washington, I think, can give them a fight, but I really like the way that that Packers team is playing. I think that they've scored quite a bit, the last several weeks. And they're playing at home, so that's a big one. And they do have to play the Cardinals the week after, which should be a fantastic Thursday night football game, to say the least. So, yeah, Rodgers is playing great, and their team's playing great. So, yeah, give me the Packers.
And then let's talk about the Falcons and Dolphins. So I'm going to say relax on the Dolphins. I mean, Tua just came back. He played great, but I just thought that it wasn't enough for the Dolphins to beat the Jaguars today. It had to do with like a lot of guys getting hurt and like Xavier Howard, no Devontae Parker. But you know what? Hey, this is a 17-game regular season. Brian Flores made bonehead calls today, but I do expect the Dolphins to get better as the season progresses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I was saying give me the Dolphins over the Falcons.
Okay. I mean, these two teams are kind of equal right now, the way I see it. I do think that the Dolphins have more talent overall, offensively, defensively. To be fair, today, Lower, I know the Dolphins lost, but they were excuses aside because they should be able to beat the Jaguars without their top 2 corners. But when they're out there, that's huge. Xavier Howard and Byron Jones were out. But if they're out there next week, that's, of course, huge. They causing turnovers. That's the toilet bowl. But yeah, I mean, these are kind of just 2 teams that are just trying to find their rhythm and identity, I guess, in a way. 2 teams that are kind of at the bottom of the barrel right now. So I'm probably going to go with the Dolphins here. I think that the Falcons have a lot of problems in their defense. So I think that you could see Tua maybe have a big game and winning it by himself next week.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the Bengals taking on the Ravens. I think these 2 teams, they're going to be in for a clash here. This AFC North division is tough as nails, but I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens to win this game.
I do too. I mean, with myself technically kind of being my second team with the Bengals and stuff, as I mentioned you off the air. I'm happy that they're doing good this year overall as a whole, but I'm going to go with the Ravens. They're playing great. They're playing dangerous football. They're kind of playing, like the Chiefs that we're kind of used to in terms of Lamar's just playing great, and I'm happy for him. I don't like the Ravens at all. As a Patsy myself, they've always kind of bugged me. They've had some great battles against us in the playoffs, but I've never been a fan of them. But I got to give credit where credit's due. John Harbaugh has been a great coach for a while, and Lamar Jackson, a lot of people kind of criticize him in terms of his playmaking through the air, and it's been great. I saw a lot of the game today on CBS, and Lamar's doing great. He's throwing to guys like Rashad Bateman, who just came today, and Sammy Watkins, Marquise Brown have been great, and Watkins, of course. So, of course, they've been kind of a first-round dominant team. They still are for a while, but I think if you get Lamar Jackson and his playmaking through the air now, the way that he's playing, it just elevates them so much. And Justin Herbert, as Justin said, he did have an off day. It will happen to the best of them. But Lamar, of course, was the better quarterback of the day, and the team was better. So that kind of just says it all. And so I do think they're going to beat the Bengals, but I think the Bengals could definitely put them a fight.
Now let's talk about now on to the late afternoon games. The Lions and the Rams will play. So Jared Goff will go up against the Rams. But at the same time, this is not a lot of time to talk about this game. But I'm going to say that the LA Rams get a win, and I think that the Lions will continue to be winless.
Yeah, same. The up and down season for this Lions team, you got to feel bad over time. Lions will win.
Why do you think the Lions will beat the Rams?
It has to start at some point, right? And Jared Goff used to play for the team that he just played with his former team. So, I guess he has that advantage to him. But top to bottom, dynamically both sides, the Rams they're gonna be too much to handle. Just to be real. And one thing today that kind of stood out to me, which I feel bad about Goff, and Dan Campbell, of course, seems like he's doing what he can, but he thinks he said it to today's game that he's expecting more of Jared Goff in terms of his play. And I do think, of course, you have to say that when your team isn't won a game yet. But of course, if you feel like your quarterback can definitely do more than he has been able to, of course, you got to, of course, give him some notice too. So, but yeah, give me the Rams in this one. And I don't think the upset's happening, unfortunately, for them.
Now let's talk about the Eagles and the Raiders. So I'm going to say that I think the Raiders get this win. As much as I like Jalen Hurts, I just think that the Raiders are the better team.
I'm going to go Eagles here. Just kind of going for something different. Raiders are playing great. Both teams are kind of similar, I guess, in a way, but the only thing I do see with the Eagles that I kind of worry about is Jalen Hurts in terms of his productivity week by week. He has great games. He has some not so great games. He's kind of been on the downhill so far the last couple of weeks here. So I think he could have a big one. I think he's due for a big one. And, I think the Eagles.
And then let's talk about the Bears and the Buccaneers playing in Week 7. So you got Tom Brady and Justin Fields going head-to-head. But I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get a win here. A big, big win.
Yep, going for the Bucs. Nothing to take away from Justin Herbert. I think that he definitely has a bright future there.
Oh, are you talking about Justin Fields?
Justin Herbert too will have a bright future. But yeah, Justin Herbert. Why do I keep saying Herbert? Fields. Sorry. He of course has a bright future himself. As I get his name right. But yeah, Matt Nagy, of course, he against that the play calling against a team like Topples is a heavy blitz package type of team. I think the Bears could definitely give Brady and the offense some issues, but it's so hard to handle a team like that so long. 425 game in Tampa. Yeah, give me the Bucs. This could be, Bucs are probably handing like mid to low 30s on them. Maybe like a 30 to like 15 type of game. I think you kind of be close early and then just to pull away at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. But now With that being said here, now let's talk about the Cardinals and the Texans. So J.J. Watt going to go head-to-head against his old team. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals right now are the better team right now.
It's not even remote of who's better. It's the Cardinals, and it's not even going to be close in this game. Texans are, of course, rebuilding team. They don't score unless they score against us, where we made Mills look like Peyton Manning or some odd reason. Knowing our luck, I guess you can say this year, but I don't think Davis Mills. To be fair to him, I think he has a bright future, as a lot of the younger guys do. So I can't, of course, criticize him for a lot. But yeah, I mean, that Cardinals team, just the way that they've been rolling, it's going to be too much for them.
And then let's talk about the Colts and the 49ers. So 49ers have a losing record too, but I think that they're going to start Trey Lance. But for the Colts, Carson Wentz is starting to get to form here. So give me the Colts in this game.
Give me the Niners. I think it could be either. It can go either way, but I like the way the Colts have been playing lately, but I think that the Niners definitely need this one more, and I think that Trey Lance, of course, could have a big game in this one. The defenses for each team I think are kind of similar. I think though the Niners have the edge, and I think that's where I give them the win here.
All right, so now let's talk about Monday Night Football next week for Week 7. You get the Seahawks and the Saints. So I'm going to say the Saints. I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this game. I think that they lost a tough one in Pittsburgh, and I think that they'll get a win against the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a game that, I mean, you could say for all their games, Russ is out. But a team like this, man, 2 hostile environments going right from Pittsburgh to New Orleans on both primetime games. And like Justin said, yeah, I mean, Geno Smith, yeah, I mean, he's had a decent career here and there when he's been able to play. Not great, but you go from, I mean, I feel for Geno, you go from, one of the best quarterbacks, top quarterback in football, and Russ down to him. It's just like, what can he do? But you're going to really tough spots, tough teams. You're going to have to get a lot of the workload on yourself, and I just cannot trust him in terms of being able to do that. As a backup, not getting crazy extensive amount of reps too. Monday Night Football, crowd's going to be buzzing, and that Superdome. I think that'll only be their second game in the Superdome too, so their crowds are always crazy there. And I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, we have some scary news to talk about, and I don't know if you saw this. Darrell Taylor, who was a rising star for the Seahawks, he was carted off and taken to a hospital with a neck injury. But he does have movement in all extremities, so this is the good news. So, anyways, what was your thoughts on this?
Well, I when I was watching some of the game, I did see an ambulance kind of in a commercial break, and my brother actually is home to visit, and I asked who it was, and that's who the guy was. So I don't really know a whole lot about him, but of course that's horrible to see in terms of what situation it is. But as long as he's okay, he's in decent condition, he's alert. You never, of course, want to see guys not only go down in the game or get hurt, but get sent to the emergency, the room or the hospital. So glad that he's okay, and hopefully that he can come back to, not only playing but hopefully, feeling okay.
All right. So now, folks, with that being said, it has been a good show. So some of my final thoughts is that I thought that it was a great show today, and even though that we started the show late because of what has been going on, we're going to start the show back to our normal 9 o'clock time next Sunday, just so you all know.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. So me at 12. Yeah, thanks for having me, Loro. Appreciate it, man. Like I said, I came on a little bit later. For all the people that are joining tonight, I appreciate it. Between Justin and want to make sure I don't miss anybody. GZDR4EV, who came in with the question about this question, how about the flag of taunting from CD Lamb at the end? I mean, it really basically, the game kind of ended. The points don't really matter. Good question, though. So I appreciate Justin. Him is Mael Lancaster. Appreciate it. HC Kane, as always, appreciate you on the weekly in terms of your comments and your support, and everybody that's joining. Christy, appreciate you joining. Thanks for always coming in. Of course, Isaiah left the comment here about him and his situation. So, yeah, thanks for everybody joining. And, of course, Loro, as always, thanks for having me. And, yeah, of course, we'll talk about Loro and Friends this coming week, off air here. Good show tonight. And let's get back to what we'll do next.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see everybody next Sunday at 12 a.m. Eastern time. So sorry that for the last two shows we had to move it to like 1 a.m. Eastern time just because of my baseball duties on Colorcast and all that. But folks, we'll see you next Sunday, everybody.
Chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I ain't choose the game chose me. I'm a champion, I need some trophies. I can draw the lane, I can shoot the three. I can run 100 yards, I can throw it deep. I got what it take to be a champ. Ball's life, you should come and join the camp. Title after title, put my rivals off the map. Thought you had the trophy till I came in for the snatch. I was born in it, not sworn in it. I ain't come to play, my wrist mean all business. Running like I'm Mimic, check my jersey authentic. In Oakland